Hello and welcome to the introduction of the Elemental Shaman for the new patch. Recently I've been testing out different DPS measures, glyphs, talents, systems, reforgers, non-reforgers. Is crit any good now? Is mastery the best? Is haste the best? And in the end, this is the best that I've come up with. It's the specialization that I am now with talents and glyphs, etc., which I will be going over now. First of all, we're going to start with a couple of the talents and what ones we're going to go over. With the talents, I've gone for Nature's Guardian. The reason I've gone for Nature's Guardian is because I'm lazy. I should really go for Astral Shift to help the healers with that 40% damage reduction, but with Nature's Guardian it's not a click, and that means it helps me with my global cooldowns on my other spells and activities that I'm doing. I have gone for the Windwalk Totem because obviously it grants members of your raid immunity from being stunned. The projection of your totems ability is brilliant. If any ads come into the vicinity while you're on a boss fight or just in a random dungeon, you can project a magma AoE totem at them and then start your chain over there, or you can project a nice healing stream totem somewhere if people are fighting other ads somewhere else. It's really good in the long run anyway. Right, we'll talk about the main three abilities, which all Elemental Shamans will say these are the three main abilities. Echo of the Elements, the passive that gives you another shot other than your mastery giving you that other shot anyway from your percentage of mastery. Yes, it's good. It keeps a nice sustained amount of DPS, but is it the best? Unfortunately, no. It's better for sustained DPS. It's not better. It's basically the same sustained DPS as Elemental Mastery, but you know, you get that groovy extra shot. But don't go for it. So I'm not going to talk any more into it because this is my opinion, and I'm saying don't go for it. Ancestral Swiftness. Next nature spell with a base casting time of 10 seconds becomes an instant cast spell, increasing spell and melee haste by 5% as a passive. Yes, it's good, but because it's a nature spell and Lava Burst actually does not become an instant, it's not as good. And Lightning Bolt being an instant, the DPS and crit ratio, it just isn't high enough compared to the mini Bloodlust, as me and my friends do call it. Yes, the cooldown is a minute increase from the old Elemental Mastery, and it actually does a different ability now, as I call it, the Mini Bloodlust. It now gives you 30% extra haste for 20 seconds. Well, that is just brilliant in itself. So definitely go for Elemental Mastery, as it is great. Healing Tide Totem, reason I'm going for that is because it's just awesome. It's cool, it looks brilliant, and usually you'd only get on Resto, so it's something nice and new to have on the bar. Second of all, let's go on to, oh god, went off it, glyphs. The glyphs that I am using is the Flame Shock. I know a lot of people don't use the Flame Shock, but it is 25% less damage. But because it gives you that initial more time, it makes your rotation easier and you don't miss it as much. Probably in the long run, unless you've got it absolutely perfect, which I do not have it perfect yet, I must add. I use that one. Unleash Lightning, because there's so much haste on an Elemental Shaman, the 5% longer cast time actually isn't that long. So I go for it, and let's be honest, who doesn't want to run around and shoot Lightning Bolt? I mean, it just makes your chart a lot more fun, doesn't it? Chain Lightning, of course we went for them 2 initial targets. Who doesn't want to spam 5 targets at the same time for that 50k amount of DPS as an Elemental Shaman? Minor glyphs, well, they're not that special. I mean, you've got your cool changing into a different wolf that you just want to do for fun. And walking on water is going to be good times. Sometimes I go for Astral Recall, but I haven't actually done my third one yet, as I've been doing other things at the moment. Enough from the glyphs, now onto the char. My char spell. Spell power, yes, it's quite high. Haste, I'm at 27,000 because it can give you an extra tick at 2700 that I hear of. If people say it's 2800, well, I'm willing to listen because I'm not 100% sure, but it seems to be working pretty well. My mastery is 50%, and with the crit chance with a mage buff is at 19.51% crit. My eye level is 400. I know it says 401, but that is not equipped. So I'm usually using most 397 gear. A couple of heroics, but a lot of it is 397. Other than that, I'll be moving on to part 2 of the Elemental Shaman, and that will be my DPS part. Thank you for listening. Hello and welcome to my second part of the Elemental Shaman introduction for PvE DPS. Obviously I covered glyphs and talents in the first part. Now in the second part I'm going to be covering DPS and my rotation. Right, well let's get that off because that looks awful. That obviously is not what I've been doing. I've probably just been messing around. Right, this is how it's going to go. First of all, I'm going to just get started with just saying about Unleash Weapon. I'm going to use Unleash Weapon in my first burst because it actually is helpful in my first burst. After that, I will not be using Unleashed Elements at all, which is obviously off your weapon imbue. I don't use it because it's not an actual increase in DPS, but it is on my first initial burst as it gives me that nice big crit off the lava burst to get me all started up. Second of all, I will be using Chain Lightning. As it is a faster cast rate, it does make my Earthshock proc that extra bit faster just for the start of the burst. I'll be dropping my Fire Elemental, my Storm Lash, and using a Volcanic Pot as you do on most boss fights at the start. So, let's get started on all that. First of all, I'm going to talk about the buffs that I've got up there before someone starts going, wait a minute, you've got lots of buffs on. I do have a few buffs on, that's true, but I did also say that this is how I would obviously start a fight on a boss. So if I didn't have this buffs on, I'd be quite a slack raider. First of all, I've got my obvious food buff on and a flask, and I've got an Arcane Mage buff up there. It's all the same, Arcane Fire, Frost all give the same buff now, it doesn't really matter which one I say. You're probably thinking, why does he have 5 stacks on his shield? Well, that's because I usually stack up my stacks before I start a boss encounter, before on the ants or trash mobs, as a lot of people call them. So, let's just try and give this a bit of DPS and see what we can do.
Here comes the, y'all don't really want it like, yeah. Here comes the, y'all don't really want it like, yeah. Here comes the, y'all don't really want it like, E-double-L. I said so, I keep big bills up in my hood on the dirty like blood, so ain't got no twist in my head, but I'm still dreadful, and I got plenty of bread, so I go to bed full. I'm in it to win it, I'm all in. I might call you my cuz, young blood, but we ain't kin. You think of jumping, man, you best think again. The dirty, I'm the type of man that might go broke for revenge. Had some not so nice friends, kick the door off the hinge, take the door off your bins, pop up my phone with your friends, man, please. This shit ain't cynical, man, no subliminal. I'm physical, financial, and mental to be a general. Hey, the mama claims she want a soldier, not the type be in the tank, but in that Rover. Man, please, I'm in the zone like AIDS full blown. I'm killing it like a blind man reading. I'm feeling it like, oh yeah. Here comes the, y'all don't really want it like, yeah. Here comes the, y'all don't really want it like, yeah. Here comes the, y'all don't really want it like, yeah. Here comes the, y'all don't really want it like, he think he got her when he know he's off his butter. He ain't never been a fighter. You can